To find yourself, think for yourself. The secret of change is to focus all of your energy, not on fighting the old, but on building the new. Strong minds discuss ideas. Average minds discuss events. Weak minds discuss people. The only true wisdom is in knowing you know nothing. Wonder is the beginning of wisdom. There is only one good, knowledge, and one evil, ignorance. I cannot teach anybody anything. I can only make them think. Education is the kindling of a flame, not the filling of a vessel. To be is to do. Know thyself. An unexamined life is not worth living. It is not living that matters, but living rightly. Be slow to fall into friendship, but when thou art in, continue firm and constant. He who commits injustice is ever made more wretched than he who suffers it. False words are not only evil in themselves, but they infect the soul with evil. From the deepest desires often come the deadliest hate. Our prayers should be for blessings in general, for God knows best what is good for us. Not life, but good life, is to be chiefly valued. I know that I am intelligent because I know that I know nothing. Beware the barrenness of a busy life. He is richest who is content with the least, for contentment is the wealth of nature. Regard your good name as the richest jewel you can possibly be possessed of. By all means, marry. If you get a good wife, you'll become happy. If you get a bad one, you'll become a philosopher. Once made equal to man, woman becomes his superior. Death may be the greatest of all human blessings. The more you know, the more you realize you know nothing. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Knowing yourself is the beginning of all wisdom. The roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet. The high-minded man must care more for the truth than for what people think. Patience is bitter, but its fruit is sweet. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. The aim of the wise is not to secure pleasure, but to avoid pain. He who cannot be a good follower cannot be a good leader. The greatest virtues are those which are most useful to other persons. The energy of the mind is the essence of life. Courage is the first of human qualities because it is the quality which guarantees the others. Character may almost be called the most effective means of persuasion. The ultimate value of life depends upon awareness and the power of contemplation rather than upon mere survival. It is during our darkest moments that we must focus to see the light. Pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. To write well, express yourself like the common people, but think like a wise man. Quality is not an act, it is a habit. At his best, man is the noblest of all animals. Separated from law and justice, he is the worst. Happiness depends upon ourselves. Those who educate children well are more to be honored than they who produce them, for these only gave them life, those the art of living well. The antidote for 50 enemies is one friend. In all things of nature, there is something of the marvelous. It is not enough to win a war. It is more important to organize the peace. The whole is more than the sum of its parts. Man is by nature a political animal. The worst form of inequality is to try to make unequal things equal. Misfortune shows those who are not really friends. It is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without accepting it. Change in all things is sweet. The aim of art is to represent not the outward appearance of things, but their inward significance. Poverty is the parent of revolution and crime. The roots of education are bitter, but the fruit is sweet. All paid jobs absorb and degrade the mind. In all things of nature, there is something of the marvelous. Man is the only creature that refuses to be what he is. He who cannot be a good follower cannot be a good leader. The only stable state is the one in which all men are equal before the law. All men by nature desire knowledge. Courage is the first of human qualities because it is the quality which guarantees the others. To run away from trouble is a form of cowardice, and while it is true that the suicide braves death, he does it not for some noble object, but to escape some ill. The high-minded man must care more for the truth than for what people think. Happiness is the meaning and the purpose of life, the whole aim and end of human existence. He who has overcome his fears will truly be free. Learning is an ornament in prosperity, a refuge in adversity, and a provision in old age. We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit. Wishing to be friends is quick work, but friendship is a slow ripening fruit. To avoid criticism, say nothing, do nothing, be nothing. What is a friend? A single soul dwelling in two bodies. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Real knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. The will to win, the desire to succeed, the urge to reach your full potential. These are the keys that will unlock the door to personal excellence. To be wronged is nothing, unless you continue to remember it. The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. To see what is right and not do it is the want of courage. He who learns but does not think is lost. He who thinks but does not learn is in great danger. Better a diamond with a flaw than a pebble without. When you know a thing, to hold that you know it, and when you do not know a thing, to allow that you do not know it. This is knowledge. To see the right and not do it is the want of courage. The man who asks a question is a fool for a minute. The man who does not ask is a fool for life. Respect yourself and others will respect you. He who speaks without modesty will find it difficult to make his words good. Act with kindness, but do not expect gratitude. Ignorance is the night of the mind, but a night without moon and star. In a country well governed, poverty is something to be ashamed of. In a country badly governed, wealth is something to be ashamed of. Real knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. Do not impose on others what you yourself do not desire. Success depends upon previous preparation, and without such preparation, there is sure to be failure. When you are laboring for others, let it be with the same zeal as if it were for yourself. Without feelings of respect, what is there to distinguish men from beasts? Wisdom, compassion, and courage are the three universally recognized moral qualities of men. Have no friends not equal to yourself. Wherever you go, go with all your heart. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Real knowledge is to know the extent of one's ignorance. It does not matter how slowly you go as long as you do not stop. When we see men of a contrary character, we should turn inwards and examine ourselves. Ignorance is the night of the mind, but a night without moon and star. The superior man is modest in his speech, but exceeds in his actions. To see what is right and not do it is the want of courage. It is easy to hate, and it is difficult to love. This is how the whole scheme of things works. All good things are difficult to achieve, and bad things are very easy to get. When you know a thing, to hold that you know it, and when you do not know a thing, to allow that you do not know it. This is knowledge. The man who moves a mountain begins by carrying away small stones. He who learns but does not think is lost. He who thinks but does not learn is in great danger. Faced with what is right, to leave it undone shows a lack of courage. When we see men of worth, we should think of equaling them. When we see men of a contrary character, we should turn inwards and examine ourselves. Is it not a pleasure, having learned something, to try it out at due intervals? Is it not a joy to have friends come from distant quarters? Better a diamond with a flaw than a pebble without. Ignorance is the night of the mind, a night without moon or star. The superior man acts before he speaks, and afterwards speaks according to his actions. Study the past if you would define the future. To see what is right and not do it is the want of courage. The superior man is distressed by the limitations of his ability. He is not distressed by the fact that men do not recognize the ability that he has. The more man meditates upon good thoughts, the better will be his world and the world at large. The superior man thinks always of virtue. The common man thinks of comfort. To be wronged is nothing unless you continue to remember it. When you are laboring for others, let it be with the same zeal as if it were for yourself. If we don't know life, how can we know death? Opportunities multiply as they are seized. The supreme art of war is to subdue the enemy without fighting. In war, the way is to avoid what is strong and to strike at what is weak. He who is prudent and lies in wait for an enemy who is not, will be victorious. All warfare is based on deception. When you surround an army, leave an outlet free. Do not press a desperate foe too hard. Strategy without tactics is the slowest route to victory. Tactics without strategy is the noise before defeat. In the midst of chaos, there is also opportunity. To know your enemy, you must become your enemy. There is no instance of a nation benefiting from prolonged warfare. Victorious warriors win first and then go to war, while defeated warriors go to war first and then seek to win. The greatest victory is that which requires no battle. Opportunities multiply as they are seized. There is no instance of a country having benefited from prolonged warfare. The opportunity of defeating the enemy is provided by the enemy himself. Thus it is that in war the victorious strategist only seeks battle after the victory has been won, whereas he who is destined to defeat first fights and afterwards looks for victory. Let your plans be dark and impenetrable as night, and when you move, fall like a thunderbolt. He will win who knows when to fight and when not to fight. Confront them with annihilation, and they will then survive. Plunge them into a deadly situation, and they will then live. If ignorant both of your enemy and yourself, you are certain to be in peril. When strong, avoid them. If of high morale, depress them. Seem humble to fill them with conceit. Attack him where he is unprepared. Appear where you are not expected. The greatest victory is that which requires no battle. What the ancients called a clever fighter is one who not only wins, but excels in winning with ease. The best victory is when the opponent surrenders of its own accord before there are any actual hostilities. It is best to win without fighting. When a hawk is present, do not let the sparrows dance. The wise general values both the pen and the sword. Know the weather, know the terrain. Your victory will be total. In matters of defense, it is best to weigh the enemy down with your preparations. The stillness in stillness is not the real stillness. Only when there is stillness in movement does the universal rhythm manifest. A wise general never relies on luck. Luck is ever fickle and changing. The cloud is light, the mountain is heavy. Be like the cloud and move, not like the mountain, immovable. When your enemies are the architects of their own destruction, do not interfere. The art of diplomacy is as crucial to mastery as the art of war. Seek not to know your enemy's moves, but to shape them. Fear is a double-edged sword. It can paralyze you or sharpen your focus. Mastering others requires force. Mastering yourself requires wisdom. The general who listens to the counsel of his officers will be victorious. The one who ignores them will surely fail. Victory belongs to the side that can adapt and evolve. When your resources are many, your options are few. But when your resources are few, your options are many. In times of peace, think of danger. In times of danger, think of peace. Time spent in reconnaissance is never wasted. The battlefield is a scene of constant chaos. The winner will be the one who controls that chaos, both his own and the enemy's. When you strike, let it be as if from nowhere. When you defend, let it be as if you are everywhere. A skilled commander seeks victory from the situation and does not demand it of his subordinates. The real objective of war is peace. If the mind is willing, the flesh could go on and on without many things. A soldier is trained to fight. A general is trained to think. The mightiest warrior is the one who transforms the enemy into a friend. War is an undesirable but unavoidable component of human civilization. Let it be conducted with the least suffering. We can easily forgive a child who is afraid of the dark. The real tragedy of life is when men are afraid of the light. Courage is knowing what not to fear. The measure of a man is what he does with power. Ignorance, the root and stem of all evil. The first and greatest victory is to conquer yourself. A hero is born among 100. A wise man is found among 1,000, but an accomplished one might not be found even among 100,000 men. Wise men speak because they have something to say. Fools because they have to say something. One of the penalties for refusing to participate in politics is that you end up being governed by your inferiors. Ideas are the source of all things. Necessity is the mother of invention. At the touch of love, everyone becomes a poet. The heaviest penalty for declining to rule is to be ruled by someone inferior to yourself. Beauty lies in the eyes of the beholder. He who commits injustice is ever made more wretched than he who suffers it. We ought to esteem it of the greatest importance that the fictions which children first hear should be adapted in the most perfect manner to the promotion of virtue. Education is teaching our children to desire the right things. Bodily exercise, when compulsory, does no harm to the body, but knowledge which is acquired under compulsion obtains no hold on the mind. There is no harm in repeating a good thing. There is truth in wine and children. Human behavior flows from three main sources: desire, emotion, and knowledge. The direction in which education starts, a man will determine his future life. The price good men pay for indifference to public affairs is to be ruled by evil men. Excess generally causes reaction and produces a change in the opposite direction, whether it be in the seasons or in individuals or in governments. The greatest wealth is to live content with little. Knowledge which is acquired under compulsion has no hold on the mind. Therefore, do not use compulsion, but let early education be a sort of amusement. You will then be better able to discover the child's natural bent. The soul takes nothing with her to the next world but her education and her culture. Music gives a soul to the universe, wings to the mind, flight to the imagination, and life to everything. You should not honor men more than truth. Better a little which is well done than a great deal imperfectly. False words are not only evil in themselves, but they infect the soul with evil. Justice means minding your own business and not meddling with other men's concerns. Ignorance is the root of misfortune. Poetry is nearer to vital truth than history. The highest reach of injustice is to be deemed just when you are not. He who steals a hook is hanged as a thief, but he who steals a kingdom is proclaimed a king. Courage stands halfway between cowardice and rashness, one of which is a lack, the other an excess of courage. The first and best victory is to conquer self. To be conquered by self is, of all things, the most shameful and objectionable. Thinking, the talking of the soul with itself. Those who are able to see beyond the shadows and lies of their culture will never be understood, let alone believed, by the masses. Knowledge which is acquired under compulsion obtains no hold on the mind. The most important part of education is proper training in the nursery. He who commits injustice is ever made more wretched than he who suffers it. Pleasure in the job puts perfection in the work. A house that has a library in it has a soul. It is a common saying, and in everybody's mouth, that life is but a sojourn. There is no such thing as a just war. Man is a being in search of meaning. The measure of a man is what he does with power. Difficulties strengthen the mind, as labor does the body. He suffers more than necessary, who suffers before it is necessary. A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials. The greatest remedy for anger is delay. Begin at once to live and count each separate day as a separate life. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor. The bravest sight in the world is to see a great man struggling against adversity. Associate with people who are likely to improve you. If a man knows not to which port he sails, no wind is favorable. It is quality rather than quantity that matters. There is no easy way from the earth to the stars. We should every night call ourselves to an account. What infirmity have I mastered today? What passions opposed? What temptation resisted? What virtue acquired? true happiness is to enjoy the present without anxious dependence upon the future. The point is not how long you live, but how nobly you live. It's not because things are difficult that we dare not venture. It's because we dare not venture that they are difficult. As long as you live, keep learning how to live. It does not matter what you bear, but how you bear it. He who is brave is free. Fate leads the willing and drags along the reluctant. Every new beginning comes from some other beginning's end. You act like mortals in all that you fear, and like immortals in all that you desire. The best ideas are common property. Leisure without books is death, and burial of a man alive. One of the most beautiful qualities of true friendship is to understand and to be understood. The time will come when diligent research over long periods will bring to light things which now lie hidden. Our greatest glory is not in never falling, but in rising every time we fall. Fire tests gold, suffering tests brave men. Anger, if not restrained, is frequently more hurtful to us than the injury that provokes it. A sword never kills anybody. It is a tool in the killer's hand. The good things of prosperity are to be wished, but the good things that belong to adversity are to be admired. No man was ever wise by chance. The wish for healing has always been half of health. The pressure of adversity does not affect the mind of the brave man. It is more powerful than external circumstances. To be always fortunate, and to pass through life with a soul that has never known sorrow, is to be ignorant of one half of nature. Wealth is the slave of a wise man, the master of a fool. We are more often frightened than hurt, and we suffer more from imagination than from reality. In war, the strong make slaves of the weak, and in peace the rich make slaves of the poor. Until we have begun to go without them, we fail to realize how unnecessary many things are. If you wish to be loved, love. Enjoy present pleasures in such a way as not to injure future ones. Sometimes even to live is an act of courage. The sun also shines on the wicked. The day which we fear as our last is but the birthday of eternity. True wisdom comes to each of us when we realize how little we understand about life, ourselves, and the world around us. Luck is what happens when preparation meets opportunity. To wish to be well is a part of becoming well. If you really want to escape the things that harass you, what you're needing is not to be in a different place, but to be a different person. While we are postponing, life speeds by. It is a rough road that leads to the heights of greatness. Wherever there is a human being, there is an opportunity for kindness. An investment in knowledge pays the best interest. By failing to prepare, you are preparing to fail. You may delay, but time will not. Early to bed and early to rise makes a man healthy, wealthy, and wise. Tell me and I forget. Teach me and I remember. Involve me and I learn. He that is good for making excuses is seldom good for anything else. Energy and persistence conquer all things. To succeed, jump as quickly at opportunities as you do at conclusions. He that can have patience can have what he will. Without continual growth and progress, such words as improvement, achievement, and success have no meaning. Well done is better than well said. Either write something worth reading or do something worth writing. Genius without education is like silver in the mine. A penny saved is a penny earned. They who can give up essential liberty to obtain a little temporary safety deserve neither liberty nor safety. Never confuse motion with action. Never leave that till tomorrow which you can do today. Diligence is the mother of good luck. Employ thy time well, if thou meanest to get leisure. It is the working man who is the happy man. It is the idle man who is the miserable man. Hide not your talents, they for use were made. What's a sundial in the shade? In this world nothing can be said to be certain, except death and taxes. Do not fear mistakes. You will know failure. Continue to reach out. Happiness depends more on the inward disposition of mind than on outward circumstances. When you are finished changing, you're finished. Knowledge is the soil where seeds of wisdom grow. The future belongs to the prepared, not the procrastinators. In the mirror of time, we see the reflection of our choices. Prosperity is often the child of prudence. If you wish to gather honey, do not kick over the beehive. When opportunity knocks, be sure you aren't locking the door. Seek less to be understood than to understand, and you shall find peace. A book unread is like a treasure unbegun. The fertile field of imagination is where innovation is sown. Integrity is the cornerstone upon which all virtues are built. Courage is the first of human qualities, because it is the quality which guarantees all others. He who aims for the moon, even if he misses, lands among the stars. In every crisis lies the seed of opportunity. The ladder to success is climbed one step at a time. The flame of freedom is fueled by the ink of intellect. The art of conversation lies as much in listening as in speaking. A stagnant pool breeds disease, while a flowing river quenches thirst. To be indispensable, make yourself irreplaceable. Each day is a blank page. Write something worth reading. The sum of our actions is the script of our lives. Simplicity is the ultimate sophistication. A moment's pause often saves hours of haste. To fill your barn, first empty your ego. He who laughs at himself will never run out of things to laugh at. It is easier to build a child than to repair an adult. The happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking. Accept the things to which fate binds you, and love the people with whom fate brings you together, but do so with all your heart. When you arise in the morning, think of what a precious privilege it is to be alive, to breathe, to think, to enjoy, to love. The object of life is not to be on the side of the majority, but to escape finding oneself in the ranks of the insane. Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one. The best revenge is not to be like your enemy. Do not act as if you had 10,000 years to throw away. Death stands at your elbow. Be good for something while you live, and it is in your power. Our life is what our thoughts make it. Death smiles at us all, but all a man can do is smile back. Never let the future disturb you. You will meet it if you have to with the same weapons of reason which today arm you against the present. If you are distressed by anything external, the pain is not due to the thing itself, but to your estimate of it, and this you have the power to revoke at any moment. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its thoughts. It is not death that a man should fear, but he should fear never beginning to live. The only wealth which you will keep forever is the wealth you have given away. Look back over the past, with its changing empires that rose and fell, and you can foresee the future too. To live happily is an inward power of the soul. He who lives in harmony with himself lives in harmony with the universe. A man's worth is no greater than his ambitions. The universe is change. Our life is what our thoughts make it. The only way to avenge yourself is not to be like that. The secret of all victory lies in the organization of the non-obvious. Each day provides its own gifts. Confine yourself to the present. Life is but what you deem it. Be tolerant with others and strict with yourself. The impediment to action advances action. What stands in the way becomes the way. The best way to avenge yourself is to not be like the one who wronged you. Your mind will take the shape of what you frequently hold in thought. What we do now echoes in eternity. Time is a river, a violent current of events, glimpsed once and already carried past us, and another follows and is gone. The happiness of those who want to be popular depends on others. The happiness of those who seek pleasure fluctuates with moods outside their control. But the happiness of the wise grows out of their own free acts. Such as are your habitual thoughts, such also will be the character of your mind, for the soul is dyed by the thoughts. Turn your obstacles into fuel, and your fuel into fire. The best way to live is to live in accord with nature. The quality of your life is in direct proportion to the quality of your thoughts. Life is opinion. Dwell on the beauty of life. Watch the stars and see yourself running with them. The art of living is more like wrestling than dancing. Character cannot be developed in ease and quiet. Only through experience of trial and suffering can the soul be strengthened. Don't demand or expect that events happen as you would wish them to. Accept events as they actually happen. That way, peace is possible. Let not your mind run on what you lack as much as on what you have already. All you need are these: certainty of judgment in the present moment, action for the common good in the present moment, and an attitude of gratitude in the present moment for anything that comes your way. To understand the true quality of people, you must look into their minds and examine their pursuits and aversions. You are a little soul carrying around a corpse. Objective judgment now at this very moment. Unselfish action now at this very moment. Willing acceptance now at this very moment of all external events. When another blames you or hates you, or when men say anything injurious about you, approach their poor souls, penetrate within, and see what kind of men they are. It never ceases to amaze me. We all love ourselves more than other people, but care more about their opinion than our own. The soul becomes dyed with the color of its leisure hours.